Hallelujah! Your main man's back. Now we're going to talk about a review of the best module that's ever been printed for Dungeons and Dragons, Ravenloft Night of the Walking Dead. I've run this module a bare minimum of 5 times, and likely more than that. 5 may be selling it a bit short, but I know it's module inside out. In fact, you can see the live play. You can type in a live play of that, and the live play on here, people use characters from within the Ring of Fire. Pick it up within the Ring of Fire. DriveThruRPG.com. The best money you've ever spent in your whole life. Now, this module. Let me give you a little bit of information here. It's a RQ1 adventure. It's for 4 to 6 players, level 1 to 3. It's Advanced Dungeons and Dragons 2nd edition from the Ravenloft Game Adventure line. Night of the Walking Dead by Bill Slavic. I don't know. Some kind of fucking Polish last name. It's a TSR book. It was originally for $6.95. I bought a copy of this. It did not cost me $6.95, and it was a little beat up, but I went ahead and had to go ahead and just get a hold of it. I just got a hold of it is the main thing that happened. So it pops right out here. Here's the module. It is 32 pages, which I think is fairly standard for a lot of the modules. You can see that that cretin right there. I suppose that is one of the white in the game. So, Night of the Walking Dead, front, back cover. Here's the inside. You get 2 maps. There is, let me start off here. I absolutely love it. I have called it the best module in D&D. Show me I'm wrong. And it's an intro module. It's a beginning module. It has fear. It's Ravenloft. And it's people from somewhere else being pulled into the mist. Like I said, we used within the Ring of Fire characters for the one that we did live. Who did I have in there? I had my man Yorn. I had Mia. I had Lou. Was Phil in there? I think Phil was in there. Was Trevor. Anyway, I had very good players. So, as you can see this, right? So you can see there's the mausoleum. The one trick you have to do, there's one part of the module. I had one time players completely fucked up and did something that got them TPK'd. So then it's basically a completely unwinnable situation if they do this. So let me go through it here. If you get here before you get the magic items, you're going to get TPK'd. You're going to get fucking wrecked. If you get here before you got a couple extra levels on you, so have some more hit points, have some more Thagot, have some more spells, you need to have the goodness, because it is not necessarily a very easy encounter. I ran this again for a fill-in because it took me it takes about 4 sessions, the way I run, the way my players play to play this. If you don't role play and you're trying to speed play, which is trash, get a new hobby. I guess you could do it in a short amount of time. My players are going to slowly interact with things. They're going to experience. They're going to look at the nuance. They're going to enjoy it. And I believe it took 4 sessions to up online, which you can watch. I love that. It's such a good piece of artwork. And I have a lot of affection for this. I've never played in this as a player, but I've run it quite a few times. So it basically draws on characters. What you want to do is get your group of players somewhere into a swamp, and then they're sort of going down, and they're in the swamp, and all of a sudden the mists come up, and slowly you've taken them and transported them to Ravenloft. And as it happens, then you start describing these things. And the box text in this deal are fucking great. Sorania, you can see right. Oh, let's see if I can get that in there for you. You can see that nice deal there. So you are in Maurice de Tarascon, and it's basically like plantation era Louisiana. That's what you're dealing with. So you're dealing with sort of almost like voodoo. It's zombies. It's the mist. It's ghouls. It's a juju zombie. It's almost all human, but there are some dwarves in here as well. And again, I ran this maybe a year ago, a little less than a year ago, for some of my players when Frank was out of town. It does go into the High Scotia Scroll, so part of the High Scotia Scroll series is in here. I never quite understood the modules seem to line up level-wise in a very poor fashion, and this came out after something that was previously published that had that in it, that was a much higher level. And you couldn't have characters that are much higher than first or third in this. They would just start kind of crushing it. I guess you can always really jack the power levels and things up, but it's very well organized. Now I know it. I could sit down and run it pretty well. I'm sure I missed something. I know that I've been braggadocious and said that, but all right. So it goes into starting the adventure. Um, and the box text in this is absolutely brilliant. Despite what it might look like here, I'm actually in fairly poor lighting doing this, so hopefully I won't stumble here. But we'll go with the starting the adventure box text. Night begins to settle over the swamp, cloaking the dense undergrowth in darkness and turning the water's surface to black. With it comes a clinging, creeping fog, rising from the water like spectral steam. The fog surrounds you, its dampness caressing you like cold, dead hands. The swamp seems to retreat from the mists, its sights and sounds disappearing into some unseen distance. All that remains visible is the cold, choking fog. Even your companions seem far away. For a moment, everything is quiet. What few sounds you can hear are amplified by the surrounding mists. Your own breathing, your beating heart, and the fog begins to dissipate, fading away as quickly as it appeared, leaving you and your companions alone in the dismal swamp. So just to give you that, I mean, what a drink of nectar of creativity. This is fantastic, and you can see just off that how much I love this module and how fantastic I think it is. So I'm not going to go through and read all of these, but basically there's a storm brewing above. So we initially, this is the next box, we're going to start talking about the storm and the pregnant, the rolling thunder, the horror of it all as it looms on the horizon. So we have this ominous, ever-present storm for days and days and days and days. In the swamp, we're building it up. And in the climax comes down the storm and zombies. So these are D&D zombies, right? They're not the Ravenloft cannibal zombies, which are essentially, the George Romero zombies or what have you. So we go into the swamp encounters, and you're supposed to be in the swamp for about 4 days. So at first you're gonna deal with a crocodile. Um, they have box text for that, so you basically you're fighting it. You're on the raft, and it's I've seen it done many ways. To run the module different ways. People handle that, so it's great. So then and you do about one encounter a day. The next you're gonna have giant frogs. So invariably one of the giant frogs starts swallowing a player, and someone's trying to wrestle it out of their mouth and stabbing it in this bitch ass of a head. So they fight 3 giant frogs in encounter 2. I think encounter 1 is just one crocodile. So yeah, you fight one crocodile. He's a 3 hit die monster. Has 14 hit points and 2 attacks. It's worth 65 experience points. AC of 5. It's never really been that much of a difficulty for a full party. The crocodile. The frogs seem to be a little tougher, and there are 3 of them. Um, they have 5, 8, and 10 hit points. They have a 1 to 6 attack. They never really mess the players up too much. Frogs encounter is fantastic because there's like a broken, abandoned boat. If they make like a perception check, they can find a chest that contains waterlogged food, clothing, and 2+1 short swords wrapped in soaking wet cloth. So this interjects magic items to them, even if they don't use short swords. And hopefully you have a player that does use the short sword. The short sword always well known in my games. Um, yeah, I have in my current game someone who's specialized in the short sword, and someone's almost always using a short sword. It's a great weapon, short sword, a hanger, whatever you're gonna call it, for fucking just doing a murder on someone. Just fucking playing as someone. Just go ahead and do you a couple. And I use 2+1 short swords, which is absolutely fantastic because you were going to need magic items to hit some of the monsters you come up later. Juju Zombie, you have to have +1 weapons to hit it, and the module gives you some stuff, and you will need some stuff in Ravenloft. So having some magic swords, fantastic, even if you're not proficient with it. take that penalty and swing because your weapon ain't doing shit. It's not magic. Just to some things like that. Then we get to a Vistani camp, and the players are there. And I've seen players trying to do all things, but they're Vistani. They're one with a mist. They're going to disappear. There's no way to stop them. I've seen players get up under their Vardo, and it's a great encounter. Um, you use the old wise woman, hot, sexy gypsy girl coming down and doing the flirts, and the distrusting men, the menfolk of gypsiness itself, the Romney, the Vistani. So it provides you, and this encounter is. It takes up. Let's see if you put it all together. It takes up a little over 2 full pages, so it's quite nice. Here's some more artwork of what's going on. So you're on a raft. You're out there. There's snakes. There's the horrible swamp, and you're going down it. You should feel alone. You should feel lonely, though your companions are there. You should feel afraid. This is not your environment. This is something quite terrible. So you should go into all those things. Bubbles up from beneath. Is it something? Maybe there's like a large garfish or something floating around. Put small things in there. Get the players scared, but you don't necessarily need to just bombard them with combat. Keep them what's just around the corner, and then they have stuff floating in here for you to drop in there. I almost want to read the Vistani encounter to you. It's very good. Again, I've run it many times. There's really nothing in this module that I don't like. The floating house. You basically, and you can see the picture right there. You can see this boy from the Tarascan family. This boy, and his name is Luke, Luc, Luc Tarascan. He's the youngest brother. His mind has been shattered. He's called what's called I think it's a lost one. They are into basically people whose minds have just had too much, and they're like, "Nah, son, I ain't finna work anymore." And they don't. Those minds do not work. Nor will they ever work again. But he basically, the players get him, and then he's in this Louisiana style stilt house. It's got the stilts, and you can't see the stilts as you approach it because it's dark. So it just looks like this house is floating in the water, and there's open doors to it, and you can see it from a mile away because it has so many lanterns of light. Because Luke is terrified of the dark, and for a good reason. He's in fucking Ravenloft in Sarania, so that light spills out, and the players are slowly coming up on a raft, so they get to look at this for quite some time. I love to play Black Lodge by Anthrax. It's a fantastic song for this. I've used it every single time since I was in high school. Obviously, been a big Anthrax fan for decades. The perfect song, Black Lodge by Anthrax. Play it. You probably have to play it like 3 times, 4 times before they get through the thing. Because the players they don't just run up to get right, because then it throws. You don't see them, but a shadow moves, and you see this fucking rope bridge come down and people are like, oh. And eventually they go out there and they see him, and he spouts gibberish. There's a table of the gibberish he spouts, which itself is from the scroll of Hyskosa. And it's by the chapters. This is organized in chapters. He changes it up. It's very Ravenloft. Also, if you played or read the module, if you've run the module, let me know what you think. I would say as a module, it's a 10 out of 10. It's the best module ever made for any system ever by anyone. And I'll fight you right now. Come to my fucking house. It's right here. And I'll fucking just dukes you up if you think something else is better, man. Your favorite modules. That's what I got to say to you. This is really a fantastic module. Your players will love it, and it's a great introductory to Ravenloft. And it's for the very beginning of a game. You can run at the most maybe 1 game session before you get them here to sort of integrate them and try to confuse them that you're running Forgotten Realms or Greyhawk or Dragonlance or your own homebrew or whatever, right? And then you just drop them right in here and you fuck on them with Ravenloft. You say, nah, son, why not this instead? So you get into there, and there's rations, there's water, things like that, and the players may well steal these from Luke. They have done that sometimes they don't. And Luke carries a lantern, and he'll come with them. And this is the first mention in the module of Shaman Brucian, old Shaman Brucian. fucking love Shaman Brucey, and fuck you if you don't. He'll come to your house. He'll fight you right in the fucking gutter. He doesn't give a fuck about the rules. Shaman Brucey and it mentions him basically to say, if the players subvert it, that Shaman Brucey is going to come in. And Luke comes with the players and he just follows them around and he just jabbers sometimes following them. But he won't go to his family estate. Like he'll just turn around and walk back towards, say, maybe the inn or whatever. He ain't going there. He's not into it. That's not the thing he likes to do. Is go to that fucking inn. Fuck this shit. And the very end of part 1, chapter 1, whatever, we have the gathering storm, right? So it says, as the PCs begin to leave the swamp and approach the village of Maurice de Tarascon, the sky fills with roiling black clouds. For the first time, lightning plays across the heavens. And you could play da-da-da-da-da-da, some AC/DC, or you could put on some thematic, some ambiance, some fucking thunderstorm just beginning, or whatever you want to say. But you don't want to play rain, because it's not raining yet, and that's really important. You don't want to jump the gun on that one. It says, lightning plays across the heavens. Still no rain falls. The storm simply hangs over the swamp and the village, occasionally sending a bolt of lightning forward to the ground. Yes, Talos be praised and whoop that ass. Or letting loose a clap of ominous thunder for that ass. When it finally breaks, the storm promises to be spectacular. That's not even like a box text. That's just how they line this joint up. It's just written with just so much badass goodness for that ass. And you got to love it when it comes to that ass. So, again, and it's sort of all organized up in the introduction. Like it gives you an adventure synopsis. It is such a beautifully, cleanly written module. You can sit down and run this with no problems. And if you can't module run, it ain't for you. It's easy. So, let's talk about part 2, because maybe I'm going to guide you all the way through. Hell, I damn ran the damn thing and put it up there so you can look at it. And you can look at it with expert play from great players. So we come to the village, right? So this is, you're there, you brought Luke with you, you're in the village, and Luke will follow you around no matter what you do. I mean, you could do a murder on him, but if you do, he comes back as a ghost, and then he just, yes, you ain't getting rid of him. And if you do a murder on him, like, he's a Ravenloft, bro. And why do you look different now and have some dark powers talking to you for the evil shit you did? So you do not want to play bad guys in Ravenloft. It don't work out well for you. Trust me on that one. So we get to the village, right? And then we introduce locations. We introduce the village. So they have a map right here on the inner cover. Right here on the inner cover, the map, right? So for the village, and you can see all this stuff here. And you have a quintessential encounter. So you are up on this thoroughfare here at the very start. So let's kind of go through what happens. Where the fuck is it? I don't think it's in box text. Okay. So basically you come there, right? I don't really love that. But, with modules, you got to kind of set things up where you can. You set it up, and they come in there, and they come in right where there's a funeral going on for a jabroni, and then the PCs will hear inside. You get under the table and start banging it from the other inside, and they'll fucking lash that bitch with chains, and they lash that box up real good. And the PCs will come into town hearing that, and the coffin will be drug up to the hill. You cannot let the players, because there's a cemetery, and then there's the old abandoned cemetery inside of it, which is here, and that's where the final shit takes place. You can't let the players get there before the end of the game. You can't. It destroys the entire game, and B, they're gonna get ranched. They will be TPK'd. So they'll lose the whole module. You don't know. When you're playing a module, you gotta understand, guys. You gotta kind of give the game master a little bit. He didn't write this, and to write a module, they have to put stuff down, and sometimes you gotta rewrite a little bit, and sometimes there's things you just can't do yet. That is the scariest part of the game to me, because I don't want the players to run it. Like I said, a group just got their ass TPK'd. Because they fucked around and did some dumbass shit. So, You have various locations. The Full Moon Inn. We had some great, in fact, the Full Moon Inn is right here. We had some great times there. That's where the players are going to be staying. They're going to be there. They're going to be, and some scenes come about because of that. Um, there is the main bad guy in this is a zombie master, which is very powerful and dead. And occasionally, like he'll move past there, and then the people like this horrible smell, and you're gonna make a fucking saving throw, and people would like die, and they turn into zombies because of the smell of him, the hideous stench. So he does have the ability to make you make saving throws with death, or that's just your ass. And there were multiple times in the encounter where the players they rolled brilliantly. The last time I ran this, because it was just going to be a 4-shot just to do the modules, so I was holding no strings back. There was like no, like not trying to kill them, but if you fail your roll, bro, you can sit there and watch because your character he ain't alive anymore. That's brutality. So you have a bakery, a carpenter. Um, let's see, see the madman. Oh yeah, you have the cemetery caretaker's cottage, the constable's cottage, Constable Grimmin. Let's see here. Then we go to Marcel Tarascon, the zombie lord. So he's got a whole spread here, and it's right in the middle of the book, so it's very convenient if you're like, oh, where is it? So you get there, you get his background, you get his special attacks. You also get his brother Jean Tarascon, who's what becomes a madman, which is I guess like a 3.5. It'd be like a template, but he's basically just a dude who's again his brother. It's Marcel, Jean, and Luke, and Luke and Jean have gone mad because Marcel has become a zombie lord because of a botched resurrection spell or raise dead spell or whatever it was. Um, so it's really created an interesting thing. And Gene Tarashkan will get wise to the player characters, and they see him with Luke and so forth. So they got like a literally. I mean, the man has a bullseye lantern, so they got that beacon on it, right? And Gene is going to start stalking the party, and he's going to try to kill the party. And eventually, we'll have this scene, right? And he fights him, but then he gets away, and then eventually, there's the showdown. But he has to get away from it because he's going to build up that suspense. The players will be chasing him, and it's basically like he knows a town, and he can just get away from you. There's no real role. There's no way to catch him at the first point. He gets away to build it up, right? And that's always good when you can build it up and then bring it back. And I haven't really found the players get frustrated with that. They're just like almost like, oh, there's another reason. They'll be checking all kinds of stuff. So it does have some game time where they're explaining and they're looking at the tracks and the tracks just stop. So they're like checking the thatch and their roofs and all this sort of thing. But when you kill Gene, you can get some items. And again, you're going to need everything you can get to bring it to that final scenes in the crypts because there's a lot of small comments in a row that beat up your hit points. Then you get to the big one, and yeah, he does. He's very rough, and you're already going to be down spells. You're going to be down um, special abilities. You're going to be down hit points. You can get studded leather armor off him, but who cares? But you get a ring of protection +1, which is a fantastic item to have. You also get a dagger +1, which is again a fantastic item to have. And he has 2 potions of healing, very well needed, more than likely. So he's going around. He's got this gimmick of red licorice. So at the scenes, and we find these scenes of murders. He's like murdered people where the bodies are gone. There's just blood there, and in the blood you'll find red licorice there. And one of the stores inside here makes and sells red licorice. So you have to like put clues together because there's like a lot of red herrings in there. Like oh no, it's this guy. And then we have a chart here for what the villagers say, and some of it is true and some of it's false. And the players, and then we go like what Luke says. So it's laid out very well. And then Luke, if he's a ghost, right? They even, they're like, no, somebody on the playtest probably just chopped his ass up with a wood axe because fuck him, goofy ass bastard. But my favorite, of course, is Mordu. Oh, I use Mordu as like an old, not a sexual Tyrannosaurus, but like old gibbering imbecile Jesse Ventura. Oh, I'm an imbecile. I'm Jesse Ventura from Minnesota. So I love Jesse Ventura, but boy. um, so Mordu's cottage, and Mordu is they describe him as the town eccentric. He lives alone in a small cottage. So the players in the game we did live, they start thinking, that's Mordu who done it. Mordu is the murderer. So you can do that. You can push them to think all kinds of different players. There's dwarf, the blacksmiths are dwarves. There's like 2 dwarf brothers that live there. Um, or is it just one dwarf? I think I put two dwarfs in there. Oh, it's a dwarf. Is a dwarf family? Okay. All right. So yeah, you. No. I'm sorry. No. It's the general store where the dwarfs live. Let me see. I think I added an extra dwarf. I think I did the last time I ran it. I think I added an extra dwarf for my own tactics. But yeah, there's one dwarf, and everybody else is human in here. So Mordu is just like eccentric conspiracy theories with Mordu on True TV. So and I'm just, what do you need to understand? And then you can just spout off like the complete fucking gibberish, like cultists loyal to the Lord of the Dead are operating in the village. And Mordu, of course, he's gonna have licorice too. So then they're like, and he's got his favorite book is The Cult of the Swamp God. He's got all these books in his little shack, and he's just a straight up conspiracy theory. So when the players come there, he offers them red licorice from an earthen jar. So like it's right. It's like, is it Mordu doing it? Who could know? But it's not. It's not Mordu. Mordu is a good guy, but he does get fucked on by the player characters upon times. And he can certainly try to help the players, but they did throw him. He got thrown in jail in one of the games. And the thing, different things happen. You know, I develop and get a better handle on the characters. Um, you had the blacksmith. His wife was all shook up in there because their son has disappeared. Right, he was a servant for the Tarascons. You got the church with Shaman Brucian. Oh, goddamn Brucian, that son of a whore, Shaman Brucian. Shaman Brucian is a second level priest. He's got bitch ass armor class of 10. He's got no armor, but he's got himself 9 hit points, a 13 strength, 8 dex, 11 con, 14 intelligence, 16 wisdom, and 12 charisma. He does have a footman's mace +1, so that's an item the player character could have if they do a murder on Brucian or Brucian just gets killed. He can, because Brucian and Grimmins are designed basically to do run-ins for the players at certain points. And they can at all points, but it'll stipulate you can have these guys run in on like round 6 if the player's getting that ass whooped. Because they'll hear things because they're in a town, so it's not implausible or ridiculous. Um, he also has, let's see, Brucian also keeps a scroll with 4 cure serious wound spells, a scroll with 2 cure disease and 2 cure light wound spells, and a scroll with 2 raise dead spells. Because of his failure to restore Marcel, he's reluctant to use the raise dead spells. Because remember, that's how he created the zombie master in the first place. Basically a botched. And Ravenloft loves it, a good botch, just to fuck on you and surround you. It's got the cemetery here, which we'll go into a little bit. Um, it's got some of the people's cottages outlined. Here you can see this is Jean here, and this is you find him like he's doing him a murder, so he's a madman. That's his magical dagger. Um, Also events, it goes day of the funeral. So the funeral is great. Like I said, you come in there and you see this morbid funeral procession as you enter into the city within the swamp. As you've been in the swamp for days, you usually want to, but everything is closed. Like if you go by and it's closed for the funeral, they put some signs there. And of course, that's kind of towards the players. So I don't know if I really love it, but I mean, whatever. And there's a tailor shop. There's the Tarascon plantation. So that's actually off the map, but a lot of great events happen there. But that's not just yet. This as players, you need to work it slow because you got to get the magic items. You got to work on getting a little bit of experience because you can get jumped way ahead and then you just get TPK'd. There's really no way a first level group can beat this. You need those third levels. You need those magic items, which are very, very important in AD&D. Even a +1 bonus might make all the difference. So, uh, uh, Deruno, which is the dwarf in the general store. So I think it says somewhere he sells dairy goat's milk at fair prices. I believe it says somewhere that I don't know if it refers to him later, but basically that he came through the mist here. But I decided to make it like 2 of them, and they was like working like in tandem. One was in the back. It made the deal work a little bit better. Now the players at in one of the games, in fact, the one that I ran most recently with my group when Frank was out of town, the players didn't get on with him. Like I think mostly it was probably Austin's fault, and they're dwarves, right? So they're not going to put up with your bullshit, particularly if you're fucking elf. I remember that he got like banned. They banned him from the store, and eventually. But see, what you need to do is earn his trust and respect. And I think it was David that ended up bridging that gap. And oh yeah. Austin was playing a gnome. So okay, it was Austin was playing a gnome. Woogaboo was playing a. Austin was a gnome, I think illusionist, and Woogaboo was a half orc fighter. Really big. She had a huge strength. He had like a 19 strength. It was ridiculous. Um, David was a wild elf barbarian, like AD&D First Edition Arthur Cannon barbarian, and my son Ryan was playing a human druid. So, or no, half elf druid. So it gave, you know, that's a pretty. I guess you wouldn't say perfectly balanced. You don't have anybody to lockpick or whatever, but that's pretty good. You got two, and David's fighter was like he was like a long bowman or a short bowman. He I remember he fought with a bow. Um, he had a ridiculous armor class, like broken. I think it was like -1 or it might have been -2 by the end of the game. He may have gotten the ring of protection too. So his armor class was like, very difficult for me to hit him. But he ended up having to make some of the saving throws to his death too, so he almost died. But he kicked out. Um, Austin pulled some straight heroics at the very end though. But anyway, so the general store is really important because if you piss the guy off, he's not going to be giving you this stuff. But he's a few items that may interest the PCs kept hidden and locked away. The dwarf will only bring them out once he gets to know and trust the PCs. If they have been openly helping the village, he offers the items for free. Quintessentially for free. These include 3 potions of healing. Nice. 6+1 arrows. Again, very well needed. And that goes to the archer, right? Like the barbarian at the bow. So now, if you get 2 attacks around with that, that's 3 rounds. You can bust a man up with magical gimmicks. Very nice. That's going to give you the opportunity to really hurt some of these Juju Zombie, to hurt the Juju Zombie in particular. Bracers AC6. Bracers AC6 is a fantastic item. And I believe Austin may have ended up with a Bracers AC6 and a long sword +1. And I hate long swords. We all know that. So I probably changed it to something else. And I'm almost positive I did. Because I hate the modules just give you long swords. Nah, fuck that shit. I'm going to give you a Falchion +8. I don't know. You don't know what I'm going to do. So I generally change long swords. I don't care for them. Wizards in all my worlds hate long swords with an unfathomable level of passion. And Magic just doesn't work on them. Yeah, basically players in my game just don't bother to specialize or waste your points on longsword. You'll be lucky if you get a +1 longsword in my game, and you ain't getting better than that. And they know that, because fuck longswords. That's the main reason why you might say, well, I can't longsword. Nah, because fuck them. They know what they did, being all omni used and shit. Fuck that bullshit. Let's get some interesting tactics and antics going on. Fuck that. I'm gonna drink me a goddamn bubbly, because fuck you is why. That's their slogan. Very fucking rude company from PepsiCo. Caffeinated water. All right. So, after dark, yeah. So at dark, it just gets real ominous. It's really great. I showed you this picture. So we have the events, right? We have the funeral. So that's day 1, and they kind of let you leisurely explore around, and they don't drown you. It's that slow kind of horror, like peaks and then just stretches of what's going on. We get to see the players. So day 1, what we have is the funeral. We talked about the funeral, right? Day 2, the scene of the crime. We talked about that. That's when you're dealing with Jean Haraskan. The constable regards you sternly, spattered all around him on the ground and walls are flecks of a reddish brown. Before him is a large stain of the same substance, apparently dried blood. In the center of the stain is a single piece of bright red licorice. So this is something you come on. So now the players, like, they get suspicious of the fucking constable. Is this bitch ass behind it, right? So you start building this paranoia. Who could it be? It's one of these townsfolk. Is it this one, this one, this one, this one? Because they start seeing them. They start seeing Mordu with his tactics. These players, this group, they didn't fuck on Mordu. They kind of fucked on Grimmins, and then they started having some beef. They fucked on the dwarf. They're like, these dwarfs is fucking suspect. I think they may even fucked on Jordy the blacksmith. All right, so night 2, the odor of death. So basically, uh, the zombie lord comes by the inn, and the fucking smell kills somebody, and they rise up as a zombie. And so that comes into clues. Like people are talking about this horrible smell that had come by the inn. Um, Night 3, the madman strikes. So you have this great chase scene, and it goes through. Uh, it goes through with that. And then day 4, you face the madman. But event the dinner party. The dinner party can kind of take place at any time. This is one that's not queued up to a day. It's basically just when you go at night towards the ancient mansion of the Tarascon. So this is very much American Gothic, right? It's supposed to, and a cult song, American Gothic would be fine to play, but it is very much Louisiana. So there's this palm circus. So look at that scene right there, and see looking through the window. That's the player characters, all creepy and shit. So it's a feast of ghouls, and that's when you go down there and you see they're having this parody of life, which is quite nice. And you need to do that before you go into chapter 3. But you do need to get them down there so you can see that. Let's see here. Let's see. It doesn't seem to have stats for the ghouls. That's weird. I guess you just have to just make them up yourself. All right, but anyway, they fight 3 ghouls, and they're probably like 2nd level at this point. 3 ghouls is rough. Obviously, your elf is going to be immune to the paralyzation, but the other players won't. And as soon like the big half orc is like, all of a sudden that's going to be real hard. It was real hard for me to get to the barbarian, who was an elf. So the ghouls were almost useless against him. It was like horrible armor class for the beginning of the game, and but that's what he was good at. Like he had like a 19 dex and just ridiculous. The half orc, real easy to hit. Failed saving throw versus paralysis. Because ghouls will just drop them on you, man. And I'm even generous. Like if you roll a 20, like that ghoul can't affect you no more. Like if that's scene, I'm not gonna have other ghouls. Like it's a 20. I don't jack 20s, but yeah, it's an intense scene, man. They're down there, then they come through. They start just exploring the house. You really go in all that. A lot of great details for the house, the dirt that's in the house, and really explaining all that. But then day 4, they face the madman. Because remember, the madman has to get away from them at first. Because we got to build tension up here, right? And it's quite fantastic. And Gene Tarashkan, he thinks he's helping his brother, right? So he's loyal. He's loyal to Marcel. So it creates a great deal. Remember, Luke won't come down here. So you gotta kind of put that to the players. But then chapter 3, the lair of the zombie lord. So finally, the storm comes. This is what, like day 5, I want to say. Maybe it's the night of day 4, depending on how you want to do it. But wow, just looking at this, I just love it. All right, so it says, the storm. With the coming of night, thunder shakes the village. It starts as a low rumble in the distance and builds to a terrible, long-lasting explosion that rocks cottages and knocks items from shelves. Lightning dances wildly across the sky, casting stark shadows in its skittering flash. Then the rain begins, falling in large, foul drops that soon become a deluge. The streets quickly turn to mud. Small streams form in the cracks and depressions. Vision is obscured by the unending sheets of dark water, and the rain falls with such force that it hurts those who venture into its fury. Through it all, the thunder continues to roll above the village, and the lightning intensifies. The storm has arrived! Phenomenal. It's great. You pick up the pace, you punch it out, you fuck on them. Great stuff. love it. And then the players, the only problem with it is it's like so intense. The players are like, nah, fuck that shit. I'm saying the end. A case of the liver tail, baby. That's what we're talking about right here in public, if you will. So basically, what you need to do is, despite all that, get the players pushed out into the storm because it's time to fight some zombies, right? And there's more zombies than they should be fighting because they basically got to get to the old cemetery, right? Because they've started to put some clues together. Now they have some magic items. Now they have some experience points. Now they have some extra hit points. Now they have, some healing potions. They have enough to maybe just scrape by, and it should be a difficult conflict. They should be able to win it though. If they do this out of order, they're probably just dead. Um, so we see again some more of the artwork. You see this one, very nice, very evil. And the zombies on the move. Lair of the Zombie Master. So here he is in all his splendiferousness. The Zombie Master. Like he's straight up fucking 80s fucking metal video. He's just too much for your tactics. And the final battle. So basically they come through this area right here, right? And each one of these is numbered and they correspond to this 1 through 9. And at the very beginning of the Ancient Gates, there's these two grotesque gargoyles, and you want to make them appear like they're moving, because like it's raining and there's lightning. Like, oh shit! You think the gargoyles are coming to get you, but you either break through the gate or you can climb over it. In this game, the players just climb straight over it, but they tripped on those gargoyles. They're like, fuck, because gargoyles. I mean, you ain't that strong, and they pretty tough, but they're just statues. There are some empty mausoleums. But as you open up and start going through the mausoleums, you can barely see. You got to make sure, like, it's raining. You can barely see anything. So they're checking one thing and another, and they're finding some of the mausoleums are broken. So some of them are flooded. So they're going in there. Like there's ones like where skeletons like try to grab them and drown them in a flooded mausoleum. You have giant bats. You have zombie mausoleums. So you'll fight skeletons. You'll fight zombies. You'll fight giant bats. You'll fight giant rats, and you eventually will, find the Crypt of the Stars, and you're going to deal with a very, very tough fight in the final battle. And then it has box text here you read to fuck on them, and you fight a Juju zombie, which is AC 6. Let's see here, it's 22 fucking hit points, which that's a lot to a party of this level. It does 3 to 12 damage. So you can throw a spear, but you need +1 or better weapons to hit it. Not all your players are going to have +1 weapons. So there will be some just complete loss of rounds. Like, yeah! And they try something and it just does not work. So that can definitely put you in a position where he's tough. And I mean, he's going to be real tough for them to turn. I'm not even positive they can at his levels. Of course, he's immune to a bunch of different things. And oh wow, is he immune? He's immune to electricity, which is great. Fire does half damage, right? So that's gonna be tough. He's immune to magic missiles. He's immune to hold spells, death magic, poison, cold based spells. So this guy's hard to hurt. Like you basically got to bring it to him with a weapon. You need to pull some weapon to hit him. So he's very, very tough. But he is worth 975 experience points. Now that's divided by the party, but a 975 experience point monster, that's a lot. But you're not just fighting him. You're also fighting the zombie master himself. And I want to say that there are, let's see here. Yeah, okay, so there's 3 regular zombies in here. And the zombie master can use slay living, I think 2 or 3 times. He'll try to, if he slays living on the PCs, not only they die, they rise as a zombie and start adding to the force on his side. So, without going into all of the specifics, let me just sort of talk about the zombie master for just a second here. Marcel Tarascon, the zombie lord. He has 6 hit dice. He's a 6 hit die monster. For your this group, hopefully most of them are your third or real close to it. He has 39 hit points. Now remember, there's 3 other zombies with him and a Juju zombie. So this is a tough encounter because you might only have. I only had 4 players last time I did it, and the time I did it before that, only had 4 players. So obviously, every player the group has, that makes it a little easier. Um, so that's something you could think of. And then if you had 6 players, maybe you could toss another 2 zombies or something like that. Maybe 2 skeletons, 4 skeletons, whatever it is, to make it just a little harder for them to help balance it out. But it's still pretty decent, even if you keep it a 5-on-6 deal. So he has 2 attacks, and he has these powerful fucking punches. His damage is D3 plus 1 each fist, and he has 2 of them. Let's see. He is worth only 650 experience, attack of 15. So you can see 975. The Juju zombie is actually more powerful in terms of experience points because he's so hard to damage. So, but this guy considering he can rock on you. All right, so it says okay, so it says 2 to 4, which is a D3 plus 1. And down here it says 2d4. So I think that's just a typo at the top. I believe it is supposed to be 2d4 damage each fist for a zombie lord, not 2 to 4 damage, which would be a d3 plus 1. So that is significantly better. You do up to 16, which that cripples a character up to 3rd level. It'd be very hard for them to have. If they're not a fighter, it'd be very hard for them to have more than 16 hit points. So, in addition, the odor of death that surrounds Marcel affects all living beings coming within 30 yards of him. 30 yards, that's 90 feet. That means everyone in the encounter. Everyone in the encounter is going to be affected by this, right? Characters must save versus poison or suffer one of the following effects. So they make a save versus poison. If they fail, you roll a d6. And this is everyone. So everyone needs to do this. All right? And then you roll a d6. So if you roll a 1, they're affected by weakness as a spell. Could be debilitating, could cause that character to have a bad problem. Cause disease if you roll a 2. If you roll a 3, they take minus 1 point of constitution permanently. That con is just gone. Sorry, brother. Get that out of here. Get out of here with that. And that can affect your hit points. If you had a 15 con, you got to take 1 maximum hit point away per level. You roll a 4, you get contagion as the spell. If you roll a 5, character unable to act for a d4 rounds due to nausea and vomiting. Again, you could say a 3 rounds. That character's out of combat. You have 4 players there. That just might lose it for you. And this can be multiple players in your group that could have this happen to them. And then 6, character dies instantly, becomes a zombie under the Lord's control. So this is just for getting to him. He doesn't have to do anything to do this. This just happens. So, I mean, I would... I don't know if it says here if you can only do this once, but I would only have this happen once. This particular thing happen once, not necessarily once per round. But then it says 3 times per day, Marcel can cast Animate Dead to create zombies. By using this power on living beings, he can also turn them into zombies. So in either case, the range for the innate power is 100 yards, so way more than it needs to be. If a living target fails a saving throw versus death, he is instantly slain and rises in a d4 rounds as a zombie under Marcel's control. Marcel's ability to create zombies has been enhanced, so it's been enhanced for the module, and as well it should be. As well is his desire of Ravenloft to enhance such abilities. So who are you to question Ravenloft? Nobody. That's who jabroni. So, boom, he uses his round. And this will take him around to do this, but you've all had to make poison saves before. He may have. If you fail your poison save, he's got a 1 in 6 shot of killing you, and the other 5 options are all terrible too. Terrible. But, I mean, it's not you're dead and are turning into a zombie. So it's not only you die, but now you're slowly becoming part of his retinue. So he's going to jack the party up with you. And, I mean, if you want to roll a zombie, you can still use a weapon or something like that. Well, you might have a +1 weapon or something of that nature. And zombie does get a benefit of armor because you probably have armor on unless you're like a wizard or something. So you may have, I don't know, a suit of fucking bandit mail on or whatever would it be, So that makes you tougher. Makes a zombie tougher. So that's going to be a problem. You might even make the person play the zombie and have them attack the party. Let them get a little bit of some kind of actions in there, right? Same initiative, just Roger, fuck on your attack. Just give him one with a +1 longsword. Yeah, so special defenses. Like zombies, Marcel is immune to sleep, charm, hold, death magic, poison, and cold-based spells. He can be turned as a vampire, which is... His characters are like 3rd level, maybe. That's going to be hard. and like they're pushing for it, right? So it's rough. Um, However, and suffers 2d4 points of damage from direct contact with holy water or holy symbols. So a priest could just smash that holy symbol right into his joint for 2d4, which is quite good damage. Um, and I would say perhaps you even just give him one, because that's still direct contact, right? So maybe you say, give him I don't know, a D2, a D3 plus strength plus 2d4. If you're like, it's one thing if like the power of the martyr, yeah, martyr, yeah, baby. But it's a whole nother thing if you're like, yo, what about Talos? Groan! Because, I mean, I would say that symbol of Talos is the most likely to destroy all things, especially undead, or any other thing. Things that are alive, dead, be they alive or be they dead. Talos gonna whoop the ass, baby. Good Lord, you gotta know that's the truth. You gotta know it. And the lightning of the thunder is a herald of the arrival of Godai, the madman, the mad king, the one that'll beat that ass and keep it clean. So, basically, Marcel is a great antagonist. Gene's a great antagonist. And it presents this eerie, creepy, voodoo-esque, um, you know, plantation days, antebellum, fucking swamp, Louisiana, American Gothic in Ravenloft. It's creepy. It's fantastic. It's a weird world, and they should act kind of like, what the fuck are these player characters when you're not just playing humans and not just playing the type of humans that they're used to. I mean, to me, I basically made the people that are white, French, and then you got like Africans there as well. And depending on how much you want to work with or put over slavery in the game, you can certainly have that there because they say servants, but it kind of is what it is, right? So again, it's a 10 out of 10. This is the module I would strongly recommend that you get to play in, or that you run for your players at the very least. Night of the Walking Dead. It is fantastic. I've been here in almost an hour. I am, as always, your main man. Just like the thunder and the lightning that rolls across the sky at Night of the Walking Dead. Your main man, here, now,